You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
So state of Texas, governor of Texas put in you can't fire your employees for not getting the vaccine. You got the anti-vaccine mandate going on in Texas. But American Airlines and Southwest, both out of Texas, because they're operating on a federal level, they're gonna go with what President Biden's got going on that federal mandate. Well, since we do the Fed thing, that's the direction we're going. I've got a few things going on. We got a few different storylines going on here. But then Southwest Airlines CEO says, I'm not for the mandates, I'm not for the vaccine mandates. President Biden, he's the one making us do this. It's like, okay. And then we've got the hashtag freedom flu from Southwest Airline pilots. We're going to talk about that for a second too. All right. Before we jump on in, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies. I'm located in Seattle. I read the news. That's what we're doing. American Airlines and Southwest to defy the Texas ban on COVID-19 vaccine mandates as the lines harden. Whew, hard lines. While Minnesota becomes the latest hotspot. So we've got all these mandates coming down, right? It's like just left and right. And some people are like, we just need testing. If we could just do testing. My biggest thing is, what percentage of the population do we need to have vaccinated before we're like, yeah, we're good? Is it 100%? Let us know, because we'd like to know. What's the game plan here? What's the ultimate game plan? Don't know. Feels like it's going to go on forever, right? Okay. Two of the biggest employers in Texas, American Airlines and Southwest Airlines, have said they would not follow the executive order signed by Governor Greg Abbott on Monday, banning COVID-19 vaccine mandates in the Lone Star State, because as federal contractors, they are bound to comply with President Joe Biden's requirement. This is on the federal level. Initially, I thought, okay, I wasn't clear on the fact. I thought it was employees over 100, employers with over 100. But that whole thing, I mean, you've got OSHA looking at that right now, and they've got it off. They've got OSHA's created their guidelines for all the Biden stuff that he talked about, the mandates for employers and all the other folks. He's whipping up the emergency, whatever it is, deal. And now he's got the Office of Management and Budget or something reviewing it. You just got all this paperwork. It's got to go back and forth between a bunch of paper pushers, right? This looks good. Now we need to revive this. They're just working on that. That's not even a thing yet. Everybody kind of thinks that the whole employees over 100, that's not even a deal. It hasn't even been to court yet. We don't even really know what it looks like. So, but the airline one, that's the federal. It's on the federal level. So the news highlights the clash between the Republican governor, who has accused the Biden administration of overreach for mandating vaccines, and private companies who require greater certainty to operate safely. As the Wall Street Journal reported, Governor Abbott has said vaccination must be voluntary, even though close to 70,000 Texans have died of COVID, and recent fatalities are almost all among vaccinated people. Well, this is coming from Market Watch. So take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? I always do when I read the news. It's like, I'll read that. But there's another side to that as well. The state's vaccination rate of about 50% lags the national average. I was just having a conversation with my good buddy Dan about one of our common friends being down at a Dallas Cowboys game in Dallas. And he was telling people, what's the difference between going to a Cowboys game and a Seahawks game? And the conversation was, well, in Seattle, you've got to wear a mask and you have to show your vaccination passport or your vaccination papers. And the people from Dallas are like, what? Excuse me? And our common friend said they kind of looked at him like he was crazy, because we're used to that here in Seattle. It's like, you got to show your vaccination for everything, or you just don't go to those establishments. I mean, that's just kind of how it's gone here. So if you want to go to a game, you neither, and I haven't gone to any games. Let's just put it that way. So you've got these real divergent ways of handling things, and Texas has gone one way Washington and California, wow, wildly gone the other way. So a coalition of some 900 companies grouped under the Greater Houston Partnership, including such giants as Exxon, JP Morgan Chase, Chevron, Accenture PLC, I'm not even sure what that is, said Tuesday that Abbott's order would complicate their efforts to run their businesses safely. The organization has been supportive of Biden's effort to require vaccines for companies with more than 100 employees. Everybody's just kind of getting on the bandwagon because I think they know they're probably going to need to do something, whether it's short term or midterm or long term. They're just kind of like, I mean, it's nutty, right? Employers, like most businesses, want to minimize uncertainty, and certainly this isn't helping because you've got the state saying, no, you can't do that. You can't mandate the vaccine and hold people's employment hostage. And then you've got the federal one that says, you need to get vaccinated. So you've got this real conflict going on. Man, this conflict in general, one of the things I was talking to my girlfriend this morning about was how many people are out there that have just hate their job. Just like, all right, this job, it's a paycheck and I've been doing it for a long time. I'm not in love with it. I'd love to do another career. I would love to do something else. I want to open my own business like everybody, wants to do the American dream. And I get that, but I've been self-employed my whole life, and it is not everything that it's cracked up to be. Let's just put it that way. But I realize it's one of the American dreams along with owning a home. So people want to do that. How many of those people who have been on the ledge about quitting their job are going to take this vaccine mandate and go, you know what? This is it. This is my sign for checking out from this job. How much of that is going on? And with the job market the way it is, if you've got a specific set of skills within an industry, like if you're in healthcare, I mean, let's just throw out a super generic one. Say you're a cop, I don't know, and you're in an area that's dictating you do that. How many of those people are making decisions right now based on the fact that if they're being pushed towards getting the vaccine mandate and their employment is based on it, how many of those folks are just going to quit? I think a lot. Percentage-wise, I don't think it'll be a huge percent. Is it maybe a couple of percent, 2-3%? But, across the United States, that's a big swing. That's a big swing. And I think that's happening right now. You've got people quitting. And the quit rate last in August was something phenomenal. I need to I've got that marked to do a podcast on that, because the labor statistics that came out, late last week, the jobs report, didn't look good. 11 million jobs out there. And not that many people signed up for those jobs, did they? Interesting. Yeah. Crazy. So employers, like most businesses, want to minimize uncertainty, and certainly this isn't helping. No, but we've never seen a mandate like this before, right? I mean, so in my opinion, this could be avoided. When we're emerging out of lockdowns and all this other stuff, is that really the time to be monkeying around with the labor market? You need to be vaccinated. You don't. You're staying at home. You're not really you don't have to be vaccinated. Okay, yeah. You make airplanes. You're at Boeing. You've got to get the vaccine. I mean, I get certain industries where you're right on top of people all the time, but we've been doing it this way for how long, and how many of these industries don't have huge numbers of COVID coming out of them? Quite a lot. So, yeah, this is not coming at a great time for people to be like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go do another job. I mean, it's just instability in general to the economy, right? The news comes as the U.S. continues to suffer almost 2,000 deaths from COVID a day, according to the New York Times tracker. And while new cases and hospitalizations are continuing to decline, tens of thousands of Americans are still getting sick every day. Yeah, and they do during the flu season as well. But we just don't have the flu anymore, do we? Weird. But I'm told that's because the dominant variant just always takes over, and the flu, it got put on the side burner for now. So Alaska, which has been a hot spot for weeks and where hospitals have been forced to ration care, has been joined by Minnesota, which has seen new cases climb 36% in the past 2 weeks. Tracker is showing ICUs are now nearing capacity and there's a shortage of healthcare workers to tend to the sick. All right. We keep beating that drum. I'm seeing the numbers are dropping here in Washington. Numbers are dropping because if you follow those curves, you had that first big one, you had the middle spike, you've got this other spike, and we're on the downward swing. And those downward swings, those go down hard, don't they? If you start looking at the data. If you look at the data and the science, let's go, Brandon. Just got to throw that one in there. I mean, that's some funny stuff. All right. So that's the scenario. That's what we've got going on. Southwest CEO, actually, let's jump into anti-vaxxers think freedom flu caused the American flight chaos. Here's what it means. So we had the situation with Southwest Airlines and they canceled about 3,000 flights. What's going on there? Is it the freedom flu? Because this has to do with this whole vaccine mandate thing, right? What is going on? And that's a little bit of a play on the blue flu. I like that one. You got the blue flu? Or what did my office manager used to call it? Monday whiskey flu? I think that's what it was. I can't remember what she used to term it. It was for employees who drank too much over the weekend. And come Monday, couldn't quite get it back together. Had a number of those over the years. They're pretty easy to tell. Come Monday, by Friday, they've kind of worked it out of their system. Come Monday, it's not a good look. The debate in America surrounding vaccines and vaccine mandates continues to rage on. We're talking about freedom flu now. Recently, more than 2,000 flights were canceled by Southwest Airlines, and opponents of vaccine mandates on Twitter, including a significant number of outright anti-vaxxers, have linked the cancellations to new COVID-19 requirements. Okay, but then Southwest says, flight control and flight crews and traffic and weather and this other stuff, and you're left kind of going, I don't know. So the anti-vaxxers, they believe that Southwest employees and pilots called out in response to the company's vaccine mandate and have since shown their support for the seemingly anti-vax disruption online. We've got intrigue going here, don't we? The they allegedly protested, has since been dubbed as the hashtag freedom flu. Hashtag let's go, Brandon. Referring to the individuals exercising their freedom of choice to refuse the coronavirus vaccine. Or is this just more of a coincidence? The name is a play on the blue flu, which is the name given to strikes undertaken by police officers in which a large number simultaneously use sick leave. I think going back to my thought earlier about a lot of people maybe this is their time to transition. I think a lot of people are taking sick leave. They're taking vacation time right now, just trying to figure out what to do because they don't want to lose their job. They also don't want to get the vax for whatever reason. Maybe it's medical. Maybe it's religious. I had somebody reach out to me saying, hey, do you know the name of a doctor? Our kid at UW has to get vaccine and he doesn't want to. And he's a senior and he wants to finish out. Do you know the name of a doctor? And I unfortunately do not. I just haven't been exposed to, people needing that. And he was looking for a religious exemption. Whole thing is just like, and then who is basically underwriting these exemptions? Who's the person reading this stuff going, yeah, that's a good one. I'll accept that. I mean, who's the underlying authority here that is okaying this stuff? Nah, you're good. You over here, you didn't tell us a good enough, story about your religious exemption, why you need it. So you're not going to get one. So we got the blue flu. Similarly, many believe that airline employees are striking against the vaccine mandates. Okay. All right. Maybe they are. Maybe more will come out on this story. I don't know. It's worth noting that both the airline and airline pilots union have said the numerous flight disruptions have nothing to do with the new mandates. Instead, they've blamed bad weather and air traffic control issues. But bad weather and air traffic, that impacts more than just one or two airlines, right? Ish. That's where I'm kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly told media, by the end of the day, we have significant numbers of airplanes and flight crews that were totally out of position. How'd they get out of position? What happened there? Inquiring minds want to know. He added, and as any aviation expert knows, I mean, we are all aviation experts at this point, right? It just takes several days to get everything back aligned. Well, that's convenient because after a few days, disruption. I had one of my guys, my social media guy down in Vegas when this was happening, and he was at the airport in time to catch his 6 a.m. flight back on Monday, just a few days ago. And he said it was just chaos. And Vegas was specifically one of the airports that had been impacted. I heard that on the news, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's trying to come back during this. Good luck with that. And so instead of flying out Sunday morning at 6 a.m., he flew out Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. because the flights on Monday were jacked up from, under $100, whatever it is, from Vegas to $1,000 because there's like 3,000 flights canceled, and a whole bunch of those were to Vegas. So he got to the airport in time, but what happened is that there were flights going out, and then all of a sudden there weren't. And so it's just this cluster, and they had to check a bag and just all this stuff. So we never really got the full story. And of course, they're not going to tell you the full story if it is Freedom Flu. Despite him denying the rumors, talking about the Southwest CEO, he made it clear that he did not support the mandate. I've never been in favor of corporations imposing that kind of a mandate. Me neither. That's just kind of where I sit. And I would never mandate to my employees, here's what you need to do with your body. Here's the choice you need to make. But that's the beauty of, freedom of choice, right? Although that seems to be slipping away. The company's requirement follows Joe Biden's mandate issued in September on COVID vaccines for federal employees, federal contractors, and companies with more than 100 employees. So we know the federal employee thing is coming. The federal contractors, all right, that's coming. There's not much there. Companies with more than 100 employees, though, that's going to go to court for sure. That's going to that's if we see it by that's been a month, got another month. Are we going to see it by the end of November? Just to even see the regulations, see what they look like. Then we'll have a lawsuit filed, and then it'll be like, all right, because when these things come out, then they're going to set a time frame. We're going to implement this by this date, by January 15th. We're going to let everybody get through the holidays. And there's a little something to look forward to. If you're at a company with 100 employees or more, you're going to need to consider whether you're continuing working for that company if you have the vaccine or if you don't. So the Freedom Flu, hashtag Freedom Flu, it's been shared by both those who are anti-vax and those simply anti-vaccination mandates. A lot of people fall into the anti-vaccination mandates. They're not necessarily against the vaccine, but they're against being told you have to have the vaccine in order to put food on the table for your family. That whole thing seems to be, that's a little bit of an overreach. It appears as though the Twitter hashtag was pushed out by alt-right activist Jack Posobiec, who has been posting a series of tweets with the phrase and retweeting supporters attributing him to the trending topic. And he says, there is no vaccine for the hashtag Freedom Flu. As cops, we had the blue flu. Pilots and airline crews now have the Freedom Flu, and I love it, wrote former New York Police Department officer John Cardillo on Twitter. So we've got a bunch of people say, yeah, we love it. I hear the Freedom Flu is just absolutely terrible. Totally takes you out for as long as it takes for the losers in the White House to rescind their mandate on vaccines. Side effects may bring the country to a grinding halt for a bit. That's a tweet from some guy, Robbie Starbuck. So people are just like, they're going down this road, even though we're officially being told, weather and some flight control, those guys, that whole thing. So we've got that happening. Meanwhile, Southwest CEO, he's blaming the vaccine mandates against Biden. He's saying, I'm not for the mandates. Let's blame the president. So let's see. Let's just see what that looks like. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly says he's against making his employees take the COVID-19 vaccine. But so he's got an opportunity as CEO to say, well, I've got to follow the state law. He's got the opportunity to do that because they're based out of Texas, but he's not gonna. We just read that in the last article. He's not gonna. He's going to follow the federal guidelines because the federal guidelines, yeah, those drop the hammer just a little bit more than the state, right? But President Biden has forced his hand with the federal mandate. I've never been in favor of corporations imposing that kind of a mandate. I'm not in favor of that, never have been. Kelly told CNBC's Squawk on the Street on yesterday, regarding the COVID-19 vaccine. Kelly said his employees have very strong views on both sides of the issue of vaccine mandates, but they were being forced to take it given Biden's executive order. A lot of people are just being forced. They feel like this is being dictated to them. Or, hey, if you want to provide for your family, you need to get the shot. The executive order from President Biden mandates that all federal employees and then all federal contractors working with federal entities, right, which covers all the major airlines, have to have a mandate vaccine in place by December 8th. So we're working through that, Kelly said. The CEO said Southwest is urging all employees to get vaccinated because his goal is to make sure none of his employees lose their jobs. Well, I think a bunch of people are going to lose their jobs. I don't think it's as many as we think it's going to be. And I talked about this on the whole police issue here in Seattle. I was reading about, and I might do a podcast on it because a lot of you guys have been asking, hey, what's up with the Seattle Police Department? So as we know right now, it's a couple hundred officers, 292. I've seen 211. I've seen that, and it's hard to tell who's got what data, but somewhere in the 200s still right now, as of October 13th, have not shown their paperwork. And I was reading an interview with Mike Salon. He's the president of the SPOG, Seattle Police Officers Guild. It's a union. And he is basically saying, I think we've got a lot of police officers that are holding out last minute. Maybe they're going to do it last minute. And he threw out the number that I threw out, I think last week. I said, maybe it's 50 police officers. And I threw out, I think maybe I said 40 or 50. Maybe it's 40. Maybe it's just 40 or 50 that at the end of the day they don't re-up. They don't get the vaccine, and they allow that separation to happen. Love that word. I mean, it's almost as good as reimagine and rethink. Separate. Let's be honest. You're fired. Let's call it what it is. Let's be reasonable. Yeah, you didn't do what we told you to do. You're fired. But we're nicely going to say, we're going to need to start the separation process. What happened to our world where we can't just say, yeah, you're fired. You didn't do what we wanted you to do. You're fired. We have to be nice about it and say, it's so sad. We're so unhappy that you made this choice, and we're so sad for you. We'd love to have you stay part of the group, and we know that you really want to make the right decision, but unfortunately, right now, we're going to have to separate ourselves from you. CEO said Southwest is urging all employees to get vaccinated because his goal is to make sure none of his employees lose their jobs. Okay. Yeah. Plus, it makes it easier for him to run his business if everybody's working at their job, right? That's the bottom line here, right? Money, get people to work, the whole thing, get people to get the jab and still stay on the job. If they can't get vaccinated, we're urging them to seek an accommodation, either for medical or religious reasons, Kelly said. The objective here, obviously, is to improve health and safety, not for people to lose their jobs. Yeah, there's a whole nother side to that as well, right? I mean, not everybody thinks that running out and getting the vaccination is the be-all and end-all answer to all of this. Southwest is offering employees the equivalent of 2 days' pay as incentive to get vaccinated. I don't. If you're not on the side of wanting to get vaccinated, 2 days' pay, That's not going to do it, folks. That is a slap in the face. So as an incentive to get vaccinated and to compensate them for any potential side effects, Kelly said. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? What if somebody passes away from that? Well, we said we'd compensate you from potential side effects. How's that work? I don't know. It just sounds like, hey, get the job. You want to keep your job. We want you to keep your job. Little thing called a labor shortage out there. Go ahead. Do the right thing. Get the job. That's kind of the way I hear it. It comes after the airline was rocked by mass cancellations that forced Southwest to ground more than 25% of its scheduled flights over the weekend and another 10% on Monday. What a cluster. What a cluster. Saw that coming. You throw that on top of, a little bit of supply issue we've got out there. That story, that's going to become massive. People aren't going to be able to get their stuff for Christmas. They're going to lose their minds. Can't get it here for another 2 weeks? What happened? Last year we could. Kelly and the Federal Aviation Administration have both said the vaccine mandate was not to blame for the recent travel chaos. There we go. We're standing by that. Standing by that. I'd like to see the numbers on Southwest Airlines. How many of their pilots? Because it's really about the pilots, right? Because think that one through. You got enough pilots that don't get the jab? Those are the only guys really certified to fly the plane. And you can switch out other positions, right? I mean, you got a lot more workers in those categories. But pilots, that's a rather limited skill set. I mean, only so many people obtain that skill set. It's not like you can send Jimmy, the baggage handler, hey, would you mind taking over this 7-body jet today? I mean, we need you. It's not like a substitute quarterback. It's not like the quarterback the Seahawks just brought in, and they are apparently they're interviewing or they've got a tryout for another quarterback. I forget his name, but he's well known. He's got a cult following. I don't really know why, but it's not like you can just flip out a quarterback for a quarterback. You can't flip out somebody that hasn't played the position of airline pilot. So I would love to know how many of Southwest and how many of these other airlines, what's that looking like? I haven't seen a lot of numbers on that. If you guys see a story on that, let me know. To be clear, none of the information from Southwest, its pilots union, or the FAA indicates that this weekend's cancellations were related to vaccine mandates. And this is from the FAA. They tweeted this out. But it's really coincidental, isn't it? I mean, and I don't know. I don't know what the real story is here. I'm just reading the news, and it's pretty interesting, right? Kelly echoed the FAA in an interview with ABC's Good Morning America. When this makes it to Good Morning America, you got something going on, right? With ABC's Good Morning America Tuesday morning saying there's just no evidence of that. But would there be? Would there be? I mean, what happened? Specifically, tell me what happened with Southwest that didn't happen with other airlines. And if there's a reasonable explanation, hey, we're reasonable here. I'll be like, okay, all right. So maybe there's a little bit of the freedom flu. Maybe there's a little bit of that, but it's mostly this other situation. I'm reasonable. I'll take your word at it. It just seems pretty coincidental at this point in time. That's all I'm saying. I want to apologize to all of our customers. This is not what we want, but unfortunately, it just takes a couple of days to get things back on track. So what happened there? I mean, give us a blow by blow of what happened. And if there's articles out there saying, all right, this is the story, I want to read them. I just haven't seen them. Maybe they're out there and I just haven't dug deep enough. Because these articles here, they're pretty interesting. As of 9 a.m. Tuesday, about just exactly 24 hours ago, Southwest had canceled about 90 scheduled flights, or about 2% of the day's departures, according to FlightAware. Another nearly 250 were delayed, the site said. So they're basically back on track after a couple of days. So what happened there? Maybe it was weather. Maybe it was air traffic control. You got something weird going on there. So any commercial pilots out there or aviation experts, I know there's a bunch of you. Let me know what you think happened on the Southwest story. Were we being told one thing and reality was way over here? Maybe. Because if that happened, expect some more of that to happen. Oh, another airline had a miraculous set of cancellations due to weather that other airlines weren't impacted by. That's weird. Weird times that we live in, right? Okay, so that's it. But yeah, send me those stories. I mean, or your opinion, or make comments in below on YouTube if you're watching there. If you're not, Sean, SEAN, at SeattleRealEstatePodcast.com. How about that? Okay, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for being part of the podcast. I'll catch up with you soon. Till then, stay safe. Be reasonable. That's what we're doing. We're trying. These are difficult times to be reasonable in, aren't they? You're like, I'm trying so hard. All right. Catch up soon. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.